Well, hi everybody. This is Sam with Python Basics, and I just want to welcome y'all to a first of many Python tutorial live streams. So we're going to do 2 hours today. So locally for me it's 9 and it's 10 Eastern, and we're going to go for 2 hours. So the idea of this is for a complete beginner. So we're actually just gonna act like we don't even have Python on our computer. So we need to go to python.org, look up here at downloads, and as you see right here, you can download 3.8.1. When we look at mine, I have 383. I have 381. So you come down here, you click this, save, and it's going to install down here in the bottom corner. I got mine kind of zoomed in a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and open this up. But if you're new to Python, it is a very high level language, and I'm sure you guys have already seen in the comments that Python's slow and things like this. But one of the things that I love about it, that I believe makes it such a very powerful language, is the amount of contributors and the community and as many people that are involved, because it actually started out as a community language. So all right, you can just hit right now it's going to ask me, but you hit the install right here, and now there's going to be a checkbox down here in the bottom, and it's to install the path. I recommend go ahead and do that right now, but let's just assume that you guys already have that. Do I want to cancel this? So now this is the shell, and you might hear me also call this idle, and just so it's what the integrated development environment, idle. You might have an editor, but right now everything that we're going to be doing today and for a while, you are not going to need an editor. All that you're going to need is the shell. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. So in Python, there are 4 types of variables. You have integers, floats, strings, and booleans. So let's just go ahead and get started. So, and like I was saying, my name is Sam, and then a float is anything with a decimal, and let's see, true. So you got your integer, you got your string, you got your float, and you have your boolean. So now we need to kind of understand what these do. So what computers are awesome at is repeatability and remembering things. So right here, we're storing things in memory, so we don't have to remember any of this. Now, let's go ahead and look at some of the very powerful things that Python already has for us. These are the methods that are associated with this type variable. And we can look at this. So now, like I said, Python is very powerful because of the community. So now there are built-in functions already defined for us. So I used dir right here pretty quickly and didn't really explain it. So these are the methods, and we're going to look at this in just a few minutes. But then also, these are things you can do with this type of variable. So name right now, my name is a string, and you can tell that it's a string because it lives inside these quotation marks. And basically the way that I like to explain it to beginners is if it's not a number, it's a string. So basically, and then you have your variation of Boolean and binary. So Booleans are binary. We're going to learn about conditions and tests and things like that. And that's the way a computer can either tell. It's either yes or no, true or false. And we'll delve into that. So the way that we're going to do things today and for the next few weeks is we're going to go forward and we're going to go backwards. So we're going to be exposed to something, then we're going to move on, then we're going to come back and we're going to dig deeper. So we're just going to move back and forth and back and forth. So, all right. So now, to prove that Python and I know what we're talking about, str. So Python says, okay, I know that name is a string and you want to know that it is a string. So here we go. Now, what things, so we have our x. So we do type x, int, then type y. We have a float, and then type true. We have a Boolean. So now what we need to look at are the things that we can do with these things. So this right here, like I said, is idle shell. You might have even heard REPL. So you got read, evaluate, print, and loop. The next thing is computers can do the same thing over and over and over again. That a person, a human, gets bored with, frustrated, and will make a mistake. Now, when you're over here in, this is one thing that I love showing new people is Python only knows exactly what you tell it. So I just type name in all caps, and it kicked back an error. So this is a perfect example of how you can learn and become a better programmer, because you're going to sit here and you're going to look and you're going to make a mistake, and Python's going to tell you exactly where and what mistake you made. So it kicks out a name error, and it gave you the name is not defined. And you wait a minute. Yes, I know I defined it. Oh, I come up here and I see that I forgot that it's all lowercase. Now, I've thrown out a lot of built-in functions pretty quickly. So, and again, I'm assuming that you are completely brand new to Python, and it's summertime, we're coming up to school, you're trying to get prepared for fall classes, and especially with everything going on. This is a complete beginner course, starting from scratch. You know nothing, we're going to build on it. So, one important fact that you need to know about me is I've been learning Python for about 7 years. So if you have any concern that you won't be able to learn Python, I started learning at 36 years old. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I want to, the purpose of this also is to keep you guys motivated and going through and proving that you can learn to do this. If I can learn to do this, anybody can learn to do this. So, all right. Here we go. So, okay. Somebody just commented 36. Yeah, I was 36 when I started, and like I said, if I can do this, anybody can. So, what I like to really teach people is I start with print. And so you can remember the association. So Python helps you really a tremendous amount just with the shell in idle. So you got print, purple, parentheses. So now we assigned the variable, we linked it with our equal sign. You guys are, if you have no exposure to programming and especially Python, you're used to the equal sign showing the balance between an equation, an equilibrium. Well, in Python, what it does is it links the information to it. And again, we'll delve into that more. But let's just work on and understand that it's linked together. So the information, and I'll say this, and again, we'll expand upon this. Everything on the right side is done first, and then that information is linked and associated with the variable name. So variable name equals sign information. So now, so I did that with name, and then I just typed it into the chevrons or the REPL, and I hit enter, and I got my name out, the information I associated it with our equal sign. It doesn't really look pretty, so Python has functions already built in for us. So print purple parentheses, very important. And let's also talk about this now. Computers like to know when something starts and when something finishes. So I showed you one mistake. I'm going to show you another. So right here, I'm going to hit enter. Python sits here and looks and goes, what are you doing? So now I close this out, and if you look really, really quickly, it grays out. So Python says, okay, I know what you're talking about. You closed this. Now let's actually look at reassigning and making a mistake. So if I do this and I leave off a quotation mark, I get this long, weird syntax error. Ah, I forgot to close this out. Now I'm going to show you another way. If I can spell my name and you can get, there we go. So now, so let's look up here. Sam is all in green. Now I started typing Sam and it's black. Well, Python goes, you didn't tell me you wanted to have a quotation at the beginning. So now, also, we are going to expand upon this, but I recommend, especially if you're brand new, use double quotation marks. So you can use single, but we can work through this, but there are levels of quotation. You can use double or single, but right now, until you get very comfortable, let's use the double quotation marks. So all right, oops, name equals, let's get this in memory. All right, so now let's go back to what we can do here. And also, dir is your friend. When you get stuck and you can't remember what a character, what an object can do, so we're going to start adding new words. Everything in Python is an object. And then a lot of these have classes. So we'll begin to build. So we'll be switching to members only chat. Okay. So now we identified that this is a string, str. So now we can run help on str, a string. Aha! Now, this is another very powerful part of Python, the amount of documentation that we have. Now, so what help does is it goes through and it has the actual description and a small little definition if it's unable to be really understood. So these are methods, and we'll delve into what those are and the difference between a method and a function is. They act the same, you utilize them differently. So right now, let's look at, so I did dir on name, and let's look at, what's one that I like? Upper. So now, so I can call name, and upper is sitting right there. So I call upper, boom. Return a copy, and we are going to talk a lot about return and other terminologies. But return a copy of a string converted to uppercase. So if I call name.upper, now, super important here. Like I said, parentheses, starting, finishing, beginning, and ending. So we had our quotations. We had one at the beginning, one at the end. When we used help and dir and print, we had an open parentheses and we had a closed parentheses. Now, look right here. Upper, open, and closed. So I just go boom. And it will return That just means create. Python is going to create something and go forward. So create a copy. So now if I still call name, I still have my original variable, and this just spit out. So if I wanted to create a new variable and it was all uppercase, I would take my information, put it on the left side, associate it, link it with my equal sign, and give it a variable. All right. So now I have name and I have upper, and look at that. Guess what? Kicked out because I can't spell sometimes. So I put one too many P's in there. So then it kicked out Sam all uppercase. So we'll delve into, if not all of these, because these are very powerful and very handy and usable, and then we go from there. So all right, now what we need to do is we need to look at all right, so right now, like I was saying, this is the shell. This is like live television. When you, especially when I show young people this at schools and they try to come back up here and fix something, you can't. This is the REPL. This is the shell. This is live. This is like live television. But for repeatability, one of Python's way to be able to do things over and over and over again is you come up to File, click New File, and then you have something called a script. But I already have one set up and sized. So I have it over here, and I want to draw your attention to this .py. So when you're opening yours, you're going to do either Control-Shift-S or down here to Save As, and then you give it your file. That whatever name, I recommend the date or the beginning of beginning Python. One thing that is super important, and I've answered a lot of questions on message boards, and especially later when you get more advanced, don't ever name your file the name of the file of the library you're working. That's why I recommend dates or the beginning subject matter that you're working on, because you're going to have a circular import error. So that's a side note of something very futuristic. So that's why I like dates. That's why I recommend starting with dates. So now, we got name and SAM. Now, print name. So what is awesome about this, and so you see this little run up here, then you got run module F5. So as long as your cursor is in this script over here, it will run, it will kick this out, you'll get this, and it's going to say, hey. And also right here, asterisk, see this asterisk right up here in this corner beside the file name? That means you've changed that file, and it has something that hasn't been saved to it. So that's why you get this prompt right here. You hit F5, you get this prompt because something has changed. So then you click OK. It runs. Now this is important, and I remember when I was learning, it was driving me nuts. When you see restart, it just emptied out everything that was in memory. So upper's gone, everything that you had before. So this does a complete memory dump right here. And then the only thing in memory is everything in your script. So script, file, your PY, however you want to think about this. But all of this is to save your mental well-being, so you don't have to retype something over and over and over and over again. So, all right. Oops. I just lost all the chat. Well, we'll work on that later. But all right. If you're just joining us today, I'm Sam with Python Basics, and this is going to be a complete beginner series in Python. And this actually came about by on my channel. I think there's 740 videos, and I wanted to, I partnered with Bo, and we were talking about kind of starting over. So this is basically a recap of, and for the next few weeks, we're gonna get through the first 100 and really start delving into all of the other videos. But that's where all this is. So if by chance you're like me and you want to get ahead and know what we're going to talk about before we talk about it, you can go, the links down below to all those. But these streams are designed for brand new people, and especially I started thinking about it being summertime right before school is going to be starting, that there's going to be plenty of people that are going to be wanting to really get ahead with their programming skills, and especially the popularity of Python. But I have a great passion for Python. I've been learning it for 7 years, been teaching it for about 5. So I know I can get excited pretty easy and fly through some of this material. So bear with me, hold on, and we'll get through all of this together. So let's talk about some more repeatability. And also, actually, before we get into that, we need to look at this. So we looked at dir. Also, you run dir with 0 arguments. I know that's a word you may not have heard before, but you leave out the parentheses. Excuse me, you leave the parentheses empty. You get everything that's in memory right now. And we'll talk about all this stuff later. But there we are with our name variable. So now, same thing with help. If you put help here and you pass it 0 arguments, you get the prompt help. So we looked at strings. Now let's look at some keywords, because again, like I've been saying, Python is so powerful because of its vast width and depth of its community. So let's look at some more repeatability. So we already just talked about a file for repeatability. Then now we need to look at something that is very powerful, is a way that you can do over and over and over and over again. And one of these ways is with a loop. I made a brief comment about REPL, read, evaluate, print, and loop. Well, there are 2 types of loop with Python, and we're going to focus on the for loop right now. And the reason why I wanted to show you these keywords, let's get out of there, is one of the other powerful things about Python is it gives you some color hints, and because being dyslexic and not being able to spell, so when I'm writing a word and it doesn't go the color that I expect, that helps me when I'm trying to find out why my program is not running very well. And I will tell you another one that just is the bane of my existence, Lambda. I have to usually try that 3 or 4 times. So now we're going to learn about a second built-in, or excuse me, so we did help, we did type, we did dir, we did print. Now so that's 5. So now we're going to learn about range. So what range does is, this is a very interesting function. So it has some characteristics to it. In programming, you need to be able to do something a certain amount of times. So one of those tools is range. So, and if you look right here, you got stop. So if I give it 1 argument, I get stop. But if I give it more than 1, the rules change. So let's just go through it. So I'm going to use a new keyword for, then I'm going to give it a variable. It's a temporary intermittent variable, another keyword in, and then we're going to pass it, and we want this to do this 3 times. So I know I just did a lot right here. So this is actually called the header, and everything inside this is called the body. And this also, we're going to see this in our own built-in functions, and we're going to do that very, very soon. So keyword for temporary variable in this. So this has to be an iterable. All right, and we're going to go into more definitions, more terms. Like I said, we're going to go forward and backwards. We're going to move back and forth. So this is an iterable. And now, one thing that a lot of new people do is they forget that colon at the end. And you can learn right here quickly that I forgot something. I want to draw everybody's eyes and attention to this down here in this corner. So I'm on column 0. Python automatically indents 4. So now I'm here on column 4. So that's how I know. And it goes, when you have multiple levels, you go in 4 every single time. So we're going to print, we're going to do this slow. Everything, I talk fast, but I go slow, if that makes sense. All right. So I want something to happen 3 times. And right now, all we're going to do is print out name. And name is associated to Sam. We have Sam assigned to name. And I want this printed out 3 times. And this is my temporary variable. So I works or even a blank underscore. All right? So yes, it is going to be a full series. And we'll build up to a code editor. But the reason what this is, the way that we're doing these streams is this is for absolute complete beginners. Absolute complete beginners. We don't want anybody, I don't want anybody feeling overwhelmed that they can't learn this. So I ran across some videos, and basically the way that all of this is designed is what organization and what structure I would have wanted if I was starting to learn over again. So this is not important. This is only if you're going to do something with this over. And guess what? We're going to do that in just a minute. So this is going to print out. So you got your header and your body. Basically, what do you want to do and what are you doing? So what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And what do you want to do? So let's run this. So now I hit my F5, and I have, let's comment. We need to talk about commenting. For the younger people in the crowd, you might know the pound sign as a hashtag. Well, that's a comment. So whenever you see red, colors in Python are very important. So red means it's been commented out. So that just threw off everything. So now you're like, why'd Sam come out for? So let's rerun this. All right, so Sam came out 3 times. So here we go. So I commented this out, and I quickly did that with Alt-3. You can also come up here, comment out region, uncomment out region. So Alt-3 and Alt-4, I can highlight and do this. So, all right. So now, like I said, throughout a little bit of a term, this is called an iterable. And we're going to throw it into a container in a minute. But right now, let's change this to I. Actually, let's leave this, and so you guys can see all of it, especially if you guys are joining us now. Let's see. Yes. Okay. All right. And let's see. So we're going to copy this. And we're going to change this to I. And change this to I. And guess what? We're going to comment all this out. So we highlight the region, and then we press our Alt-3, comments it out. And let's see, make sure. Okay, you guys can see that good. Now I'm going to press my F5, and we're going to see what happens. Now, something different that you may not be expecting. So, all right. 0, 1, 2. All right. That's still 3 numbers, right? So let's look at range one more time. And still, no, I didn't spell it right because it didn't go purple. So, all right. If I give, we have this handy tool, and I'm not even using it. So I'm going to put range in our help. Here we go. So range stop, range object. Range start, stop. Let's read this. Return an object that produces a sequence of integers. Start, it's inclusive, means it is included. Stop is exclusive, means it goes right up in 2 but does not include. Well, what did we just find out here? 3. I want 3 numbers. Well, Python is a 0 index language. Starts at 0. Think about a number line. And the reason why I say this is because we're going to address this in a minute with negative indexing, and especially when we get into slicing strings. So it starts dead in the middle at 0 and it goes positive. I think I'm pointing for you, it might be that way. It goes positive. And then of course negative. So you don't want to have a gap in the number line. So that's why Gordo decided to start at 0 indexing, and then go positive. So we got 0, 1, 2. Still has 3 numbers, just it starts, start, step, stop, just like this. So when you give it 2 numbers, the first argument is start, second one is stop, and then you have step. So now if I change this, so the start sequence is inclusive, stop is exclusive. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But 5 is not included. It's exclusive. It's excluded. So how many numbers will come out? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's learn about a container. So we got 4 different types of variables. We got strings, we got ints, we got floats, we got booleans. Now we need to figure out a way. So basically you're saying, so I have to assign all these variables? Well, not necessarily. Now we're going to learn about a list. And a list is one of the basic containers. List. And it's literally like that. And there we go. So, it's an iterable. Built-in mutable. So we're going to talk about that later. But mutable just means you can change it. And then let's look at dir on list. And here we are. We're not going to worry about these double underscores. And I don't think you'll ever hear me say dunder. I don't think. Double underscore methods, and then here are the methods that we would utilize. So let's go, and we're going to do something very cool. So we need to list of 5. So we have our range 5. Now what is so super cool with Python is, like I said, Python doesn't care as long as it's legal and you do everything on the right side of the equal sign, then link it, then give it a variable. This is completely legal. So I take my range and Python knows, okay, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's 5 numbers. I start at 0. Okay, I know what you want. All right, then now you want this around the list function. So you want to turn that into a list? Okay, I can do that. So now, and I kind of alluded to that, so here are our brackets. So this is our first basic container, holder of stuff, and we'll become more elaborate, holder of objects in Python. And these are ints. So now when I run type on my L_5, and it helps if I close this out, it gets back the class of list. Now, let's talk about some rules for variables. We have not done that yet. Python is a language. Python has rules. So basically, when you start programming and you start building, have a project, and then you build it to functionality in the project, then you have functions inside the functionality, and then you're going and you're smaller, and you're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you have to take a project and get it down to remembering information and doing something over and over and over again. Maybe analyzing it, maybe a little bit more. But that's how simple you have to get this. So when I'm teaching people, I say that you have to get it down to the bare bones of, can you explain this to a 5-year-old? If you can explain this to a 5-year-old, you can write this as a program, or you can have a function. And that's how you have to go. So how much do you have to indent the code? All right, the code will indent itself if you're in Sublime, you may have to. Now, you want to get very careful with spacing and tabs. That's why if you're new, I want you to start here so you can begin to really understand. You can get, I remember, I equate this to the lesson that I learned when I was playing tennis. I had a tennis pro, and I told him that he was better than me because of his racket. So we changed rackets, and he beat me with my own racket. So we're learning the basics. We're learning Python. Don't get hung up on the editors. Let's learn the skills first. You learn the skills, then you can use the editors. This is fine for what we're doing for several weeks. All right. So we have some rules for, Python has a couple rules for variables. Cannot contain a special character. Cannot start with a number. Cannot start with a number. All right. Cannot start with a number, and cannot be a keyword. And so that's why I showed you these. So these are already used in Python. Same thing also, and it can't be a function name. All right. So we can, all right. So now we're 37 minutes in. We're going pretty good. We're going strong. So if you're just joining us, I'm Sam with Python Basics, and we're going to be doing an entire series for complete, absolute beginners. And what I was kind of thinking, and Bo and I chatted, and I want to appreciate Bo for giving me this opportunity to be here with you guys. But I have a great passion for Python. I learned it at later in life, starting at 36. So if I can do it, anybody can. So I've been learning for 7 years, and I've been teaching for 5. So I've gotten down some pretty good material, and I've had a YouTube channel for almost 3.5. No, it's only 3 years and 4 months. So tons of videos over there, and Bo and I were talking that we just kind of wanted to start over from those and compress these and put these into some live streams. So thanks for joining us today, and we're going to be doing this every Tuesday for the foreseeable future. So all right, let's continue on with where we are. So we just looked at that. We called repeatability. We got our scripts. So here we go. So now, all right. So we ran this. Let's pull this back up. Let's touch on this again. So we have our range. We have, when we give two digits, all right, and I apologize for copying. It was not that big of a deal. I should not have copied that. Now, let's look at this. Print I. Let's comment this out. Now, what did we see about range? Start, stop, step. And step is will be omitted, but I thought it used to say interval. It does not say interval anymore. So all right, think about your times table. Steps. Let's change this to 2. So what should come out right here? Any thoughts? Ooh, I don't have chat anymore. Any thoughts of what should come out? So we know it's going to start at 2, and it's going to go by 2s right here. 2468. Wait a second. I wanted 10 to come out. So, oh, that's right. 10 is, the stop is 2468. You're exactly right. Jan, no 10. Why not 10? Very good question. Why not 10 is stop is exclusive. So if I wanted to get 10 to come out, I need to go past 10. Stop is exclusive right up into, but not including the stop position. So I went past because we're going by 2s. But technically, really, I just need to go to 11. I just need to get past 10 to go to have 10 be included because the stop is exclusive right up into. So, great question. So now let's change this a little bit because I want to wrap. So now I want to look at iterables as another, because right here this is a, so this returns an object of sequence. So this is iterable, but let's see what we did here. So we got our L. So you don't want to do, see if I do this list, it's not going to work. So that's why we did our L5. Then we wrapped list around range 5 and close this out. Let's go over this real close. So I do 5, I gray out, I get around this, and I gray it out one more time and I get all my contents. So now let's comment this out. We're going to type some more. For I in, and so let's look at this. Num in L underscore 5. I get my, because it is that is the same rule. So the rules for a variable are can't contain a special character, can't start with a number, and it can't be a keyword or a function. So there we go. Those are the 3 rules. Now print num. So here's my temporary intermediary variable, and right here. Now let's look at one more very important other function. My goodness, sorry guys, I cannot type today. Len, short for length. Return the number of items in a container. So now, len on L underscore 5. Close this out, 5. So there we go. So now when I run this, what will happen? Anybody? Jan, you got any guesses? So if I press F5, what will happen? I don't know how much of a delay there is on my end in chat. So I'm going to run this. I don't know if you're sitting there watching me going, why hasn't he pressed it yet? So same rules apply here. Now, let's do something cool. Because, no, I changed it to just one integer. So it reverts back to starting at 0. Yes. You're good. You're good. So when you pass in one integer to range, help on range. When you pass in one integer, it's only the stop point. So 0 through right up into, not including the stop point. So that's why this was 4. So now what happens? So all right, this is also where it gets really cool. So now that I'm inside the body right here, I can list however many instructions I want. Okay? Sorry guys, that was probably big, loud, and thuddy. Okay. So print, all right, and print num times, actually, let's do this over here first. We need to talk about this. So we have not talked about operators yet. So Python was built upon the basics, and again, that's why this thing is so very powerful. So it just jumps out as a calculator. So you got your standard multiplication, subtraction, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponents, and there are a couple others that needed to be added. So we got our, oh, we already did that. So 1 minus 1, then you have 5 times 2, 6 divided by 3. Now, here's how you handle exponents. So 2 asterisks is exponent. And then, so where it gets very important, and when you're dealing with floats and integers, and guess what? We'll get to that. There is a way. So if I go and divide, so as you can see right here, this kicks back a float. Well, when you're doing specific things and you're expecting one type of integer, one type of object, and you get a different type of object, that can be a problem. So guess what? Python has a way to handle that. So this is floor division. It removes everything that you don't need. Now, one of the very cool operators that took me a long time to figure out was the modulo. This is what is so cool. It's the remainder. So right here, let's go 5 divided by 3. I get 1.66. So 5 modulo 3, I get 2. Okay, so 3 goes in 2 times. No. 3 goes in 1 time, or it almost goes in 2. No. Let's do long division. So 3 goes in to 5 1 whole time, and the remainder is 2, or 2/3. So we're going to have a very interesting exercise and a very nice problem, especially when you're trying to solve mathematics and you're looking for ways to handle rounding. This modulo is a very important character. So, all right, a little bit of side note. So we're going to do print. We're just going to give an empty line. Then we're going to do print num times 2. So I want the number, then a blank, then a, and actually we're going to add another one. Print. So we're going to do the number, then a blank line, then the number times 2, then a blank line. So let's run this. So I will get, okay, I got 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 4. Now let's change this. Go, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that one there. I want to do number times 2, then a blank line, and then go to the top. So this is what's very powerful about loops, and also then you have to plan and think about loop control. Flow of the program. How are you going to be doing this? And I think we're going to get to it today. We're going to do a number triangle. I love teaching this because this is a perfect example of how do you control the flow of the program. And you have to think about it, and you have to go through the order of events, and how can I do this in a form that can do this every single time? That is the challenge of a loop, is that what order of events can I do this every single time with maybe a variation at the beginning or a variation at the end to kick outside of it. So now let's run this again. All right. So I get 0, 0, blank line, 1, 2, blank line, 2, 4, blank line, 3, 6, and 4, 8. So the order of events are, one time through, I do all of this. Then it kicks back up here. So, all right, we're going to expand upon this. Sorry, I can get sucked in and talk about loops for hours. So, all right, let's see what is next. All right, so we need to now look at some slicing. So slicing has the same rules as, let's bring in name, Samuel. So, all right. So now you have slicing and indexing. So we've seen parentheses and we've seen a bracket with a list. So when I give Python brackets and one digit beside a string variable, I will get a singular character. This is the 0 index. All right. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and so on. But the same rules apply if now with our range function I used commas. With slicing I use quotations. So we're gonna look at this. 0, 4. So what in the world just happened? So let's look at this. I start at 0. I go through up to, but not including. Here, let's come over here. So let's look at another quick comment way to do this. So if I give 3 quotation marks, everything inside this is not looked at by the computer. So I got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's space this out some. That wasn't very good. That looks jumbled. Okay. There we go. Let's shrink this a little bit so we can see both of them side by side. All right. So I got 0. I got 1, 2, 3. Not including. I did not include 4. Now, we need to look at this. So when I leave, now with our range function, you could not leave one of them blank. But with the string, you can omit 0 and pass in the colon. So Python goes, okay, you know what you're talking about. You know you want to use the stop location. And we kind of understand each other that you know what you're doing and you want to start at 0 and then you want to stop at 5. So I close this out. So I go to 5, not including 5, and that's why I stop at E. Now, so let's see. So now I go name, boom. If I leave the other one blank, I'm telling Python, hey, I want all of it. I want the whole thing. Now there's a couple ways that you can do this in reverse. And this is just one of the things that I just love about Python. So all right, same rules. Start, stop, step. Start, stop, step. Now, so if I go by 2s, start, stop, step. I want start at the beginning, go all the way to the end, and I want you to go by 2s. So start at 0. Start at 0. Skip every other. So boom, boom. So that's why I only get S, M, E. Start and come over here. Now, all right. Now let's look at how to go backwards. Negative. So I'm going negative in reverse one time. So this is a way that you can take the string and reverse it. So this is a very cool test. If you've ever heard of palindrome. So palindrome. So this is a very good test to how could you take in Exactly. It is the same rules. That's why I like to tie these together. Range, you can look at the documentation for help on range, and then we slide over to slicing with strings, the exact same rules. So that's why I like to include this. What you'll notice about me and the way that we're going to do things is we're going to have association, and then we're going to have reinforced learning. So we're going to learn a couple of things together that act similar, and then it's going to revert back to something, and it's going to support it. So we're getting our good base down. We're building a good foundation, and then we're going to build upon it. We're not going to rush through anything. If anything, we're going to go over a couple things several times, and hopefully while we're here together, you're going to get something that you've never seen before, because that's what I try to do. I wanted to one letter in the string. Can't do that. What if we only want to omit one letter in the string? You want to just omit one? Oh, okay. So you just want to jump over one letter? All right. So there is, because we were actually going to get to something like that. So now one of the other issues with strings are, let's look at help str string. We need to look at this. Where does it say it? Watch it not say it in here for me. Immutable. You cannot change a string, but you can use parts. You can use the whole string, parts of strings. And here's the little bit that can get confusing at first until you really start thinking about it. You can add to a string, but you're actually then creating a new object, really. But all right, so let's say we wanted to, so we got Sam, right? Name, actually let's shorten it to just Sam. So now we're going to do this in a minute. So this is a very great question. We're going to take a bank of let's build upon this. So if I just wanted AM to come out, how could I do this? So we can look at how to slice up and chop this up in the middle. So how would I get, so if I know 0 starts S, how could I get A to start? Where would I need to go? What would I need to type right here? So I say start at 1 and index 1, go all the way to the end, include everything. I get AM. So now all right, this is called concatenation. Just a fancy word to say adding strings together. All right. So P should do it. Oh, okay. Jan, I think I know what you're saying, but hang on a second. So if you did that, that's going every other letter. And I don't know if that was name for Sam or Samuel, but then that. So if I just wanted AM to come out, it's 1 starting at this index 1, second letter. Always be off by 1, especially when we start doing our number triangle here in a little bit. You're always going to be you're usually only off by 1 either side, plus or minus 1. So we got. Oops, I typed that wrong. Let's come up here. All right. So what did I do? So name, slicing, starting at index 1, then going through. So I got AM right here, and I concatenated P with AM, and that's how I got Pam. And then you got, so then if I made a bank right here, I love this exercise, so bear with me. So if I make a string, and I do P, T, J, what's the other one I do? Yeah. For, and I still have name. Yep. So this is going to call name up here, just to remind you. For letter in letters. So this is a group, this is a string, this is an iterable, so I can place this here. This is an iterable. So then I get my colon, then print letter plus name, just like we did over there. Close this out. All right, this is my building block. This is just the same rule. I'm just using variables. All right, let's put this into memories. We'll go slow. We'll go slow. So letters. What is this? So if I go for letter in letters, print letter, I'm going to get each one of these. I'm iterating through an iterable one at a time. PTJB. All right. So those are my building blocks. I'm iterating through my iterable one letter at a time. So here's my temporary variable, and I remember that this is am, and I'm adding am to the end of each letter, which comes out PTJB. So then now I hit my F5, and now I get Pam, Tam, Jam, Bam. All right. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? All right, cool. Let's keep going. Hour 1 is down. So, all right. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. I'm Sam with Python Basics, and we're going to be doing a live stream once a week for 2 hours. And basically, this is a compressed course of all the videos off of my YouTube channel. 700 plus videos, and we Bo and I been talking, and I had been experimenting with live streams, and freeCodeCamp has given me this wonderful opportunity, so I just want to make sure I tell them thank you to them, and thank you to Bo for this wonderful chance to share this, because I just love Python absolutely so much. I think it is a doorway to so many things for anybody who wants to learn, anybody who wants to give any effort to programming, because if I can learn how to do this, I promise you I can teach anybody, because I was 36, I'm dyslexic, ADHD, any issue you can think of, I got it, I learned it, I love teaching this. It is a powerful tool. It changes the way you think, it changes your outlook. I want you guys to stay motivated. All right. I'm here to keep you guys going. So, all right, let's keep going. So we've done a little bit of slicing. We've done a little bit of concatenation. So now we need to really look at, what did I want to look at next? So we slice the strings. Ooh, we haven't even built a function yet. So let's go ahead and do that. So, all right. We have been using all of Python's built-in everything. So now I like to build on from our loops into our function. They do the exact same thing. So that it's designed the same. You have your header and then you have your body, and that's it. And the same rules apply. So let's just go ahead and do this. Let's comment out all this so we don't have any straggler stuff. And also, very important side note, don't ever delete anything. I remember I was like, oh, I'll remember this. You got tons of hard drive space. There's stuff in the cloud. Don't ever delete anything you've ever written. One, it's kind of cool to go back and look and see what you've done in the past, but don't delete it. Just comment it out, save it. And also, one important thing to really learn is make sure when you're writing programs, you put comments in them, because what I have a challenge for you is if you've been programming a while, go back and look at one of your programs you wrote a year ago or even 6 months ago. See if you didn't put any comments in there. See if you can remember what in the world you were trying to do. So, all right, now we're going to build our first function. All right, let's get this up here so it's all towards the top. So, all right, now we're going to learn about another keyword. And we know it's a keyword because it is orange. So let's come and remind ourselves. Help keywords, and I'm at our interactive help prompt, and you get to there by typing in help with 0 arguments. All right. And as you can see, now we have def. We pass in def. And oh, wow. Okay. So we use this for defining a function. Okay. There we go. So let's jump into it. So yeah, if you can't ever remember exactly what something does, especially, I remember I was going nuts. I was like, how am I gonna, what does that keyword do? What is that key? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I have my interactive help and I can ask about that keyword. So, all right, we're just gonna type hello. I think it's good if you get a 0. All right, so the way that I like to explain this is you need 5 things on your header. Your def keyword, the name of your functions, your parentheses, your colon, because if you leave your colon out, you go back to under def on the edge, column 0. You have a problem. So you make sure you put your colon in there, and Python will take care of it in the script and indent 4 for you. Now, stuff in the middle, the argument inside the function, is optional. Right now, we're not going to take in anything. We're just going to print out hello. And it helps if you pass it a string. All right. My goodness, guys. I'm very sorry for the typing today. So let's look at this. Same setup. Sorry. Same setup. So if when I'm here, I go down, Python says, hey, do you have any more instructions? I'm sitting here. I'm waiting. I'm at your beck and call. And you're like, no, actually, I'm done. So now a little variation, just like when we created. So I put this into memory. Looks like nothing happens. So same thing, just like when we did our variable, we put it into memory, and it looks like nothing happened. But then we had to call it, right? So we did this, went to the next line. You're like, nothing happened. Actually, a lot happened. Same thing over here. So in our file, in our script, we created, then we called it, we put it into memory, but where did we call it? We haven't actually called the function. So we just go hello. And it's a function, and as you can see, Python helps you. It says, hey, doesn't take any arguments, just pass parentheses. And you're like, okay, cool. Now, if you're like me, you're going to want to see this thing run. So so I'm here inside my function, right? And I'm coming here, I'm coming here, I'm coming here. Well, I get outside the function. I'm not inside. So like I said, we're going to build, we're going to add, we're going to sprinkle, we're going to add, we're going to go back, we're going to go backwards, we're going to add, we're going to add. All right. Python tracks white spaces. This white space right here, Python goes, haha. Okay, you know what you're talking about. You just made a function. And everything, I'm going to do everything inside this function. And when I get outside the function, then I'm going to go through. So just like our for loop, Python comes down here and it loops through everything here. Once it gets to the bottom, exterminates at the bottom, goes back up to the top. Same thing with the function. It's going to read all this in, then kick outside here. So if I want to then, inside this file, inside this script, call the function after I put it into memory, I come down below it and then just call said function, just like I did here. So I just put it over here. Now it can't be inside the function. That's another type of issue. We'll deal with that later, but we'll jump into that very, very soon. All right, so here we go. I get hello. Now now let's do a little bit more. So now I'm going to pass in Sam. Name. And then concatenate name. So then I give it, here we go. All right. So now I'm taking in information. Here's my argument, my first exposure to an argument. I'm then going to print hello along with this argument, this variable. And then down here when I'm calling the function, I'm passing in this. So the way that I want you to look at this is the variable from here, right? Same concept, where we have the information, the variable, and then we're utilizing that variable here. So now we're passing this in, this goes here, so visualize this as Sam and Sam. Now, there is a problem here, and we're going to see it, and then we're going to fix it. And I love teaching young people, and they say I did it wrong. Well, it didn't do it right. It didn't put a space in there. Okay. Well, show us where we put the space. We didn't put a space anywhere. So, of course, the computer, it's not going to guess. It's not going to hope. It's not going to go, oh, I know. You meant to put a space in there. It's not going to do that. So we're going to come here. We're going to run, boom, hello, Sam. All right, now, why don't we, right now we have this program and it's not even close to an end user. I got to get into the program to put my name in there. Well, guess what? Python's got something for you. Help input. Let's pull this over. These get bigger and bigger. So, all right, let's go back to chat. Who has seen the input function before? Anybody? Okay. So read a string from standard input. Trailing new line is stripped. The prompt string, if given, standard output with a trailing new line before reading in. So, all right, what this is basically saying, you have, okay, cool. So basically, now we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get, then we're going to do name, input, enter name. So now this can, you can get user input from the command line, but that's going to be at least a video or two away because that's dealing with sysrv, and I don't want to. We're not to that point. We're still dealing with beginner stuff. But yes, you are completely accurate. There is a way to grab all input from the command line, and that is some very powerful stuff with Python, and I love it. I love it. I don't want to get sucked into that quite yet. I want to deal with all the basics first, but we are going to get to that, and we're actually going to do some pretty cool stuff with that. So, all right. So now we have, so I got to get rid of this because this is not, we don't take in any information with our function. So I have this function. I then am creating a variable utilizing the input, utilizing the input function. I'm passing some prompt in, then I'm taking that information and going forward. All right. So now let's go through this. Enter name, and then I go, oh, I don't like that it's right there on that colon, so we're going to fix that later. And we do that just by this. Boom. So now I have my space right here. Let's run this again. So now my prompt is sitting right here. It's, now I go Sam. Oh, very cool. Okay, so now I have this. Now we're going to look at this, and Let's close, comment that out. Now we're going to look at how to def print. So I want blank. Print empty blank. So then I call blank, and what happens? Get a blank line. All right. Def blank 3. So now I want 3 blank lines. So now I'm going to call blank 3 times. So the reason why I'm showing you this is I know I could use print, but the point of this exercise is to show you that you can begin to utilize. So now I got 3 lines. So now I'm going to go def blank 9. So instilled, sorry, blank 3. And I'm going to cheat a little. Don't tell nobody. Do not recommend this. Okay. So now I call blank underscore 9, open, close, run this, and now I get 9. So the point of this exercise is to begin to show you that where this becomes very powerful is so I don't have to go in here and type. I don't have to type print 3 times, so, or 9. So this is the building block of how you would go in, create a function, be able to utilize that function at a later time, and then even expand upon it. So that was one of the first things, because when computer programs were first being built, you had to go in and do the exact same command over and over and over again. I can only imagine what that could be and had to be like. And then they designed efficiencies. Hey, there's got to be a way for us to do this over and over again. And the first one was the go-to line. And then it was like, okay, do we really need to then go back up there? So we have this thing circulating. So then they came up with a way to have a function, and then it has developed and evolved, and then files, and then boom, boom, boom. Because I mean, if you're if you're anywhere near my age, the computers were actually, the information was actually saved on magnet tapes. It would search the tape and coil and spin and run. That was the original hard drive. It was nuts. All right, I digress. But all right, it's a little. We got another bunch of time that went by. If you're just joining us today, thanks for being here. Can I call the function with the same function, like blank function inside the blank function? Yeah, but I don't want to get into that right now. That's recursion, and that you can do that for certain purposes if you mean to. Especially, we're going to have an exercise, a recursive function. But what am I trying to think? Where we swap Fibonacci. So the Fibonacci sequence. Can you call the function from within a print function? Give me an example, Jan, of what, I mean, you can, but all it would do is print out the function. Can you give me an example of what you're wanting to do? Because here, if I call, because you're going to get something like this. That's what it would look like. So, okay. Yes, you're. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad you joined. Because look, if you're just joining us right now, I've been given this wonderful opportunity to live stream with you guys, and Python has just changed everything about me. And I know that sounds a little cheesy, but I mean, it has. It's given me a bunch of new skills, the way that I see everything, the way that I problem solve. I've been able to teach Python at my kids' school. Been able to expose a great deal of people. I've had a YouTube channel for over 3 years. It is just a wonderful tool that is out there. So yes, we're going to be doing this for a very, very long time. And I don't see it slowing down at all. If anything, I see it going faster. So, all right. But yes, you do have a function, call other functions, and especially a Fibonacci sequence. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. So we have a function calling other functions. And all this basically is, and then we can get into nested functions later. For example, if you want to enter the gender, the character in the program, standardizes their input. User enters the character as male, and the sentence would say the character is a male. Okay, I'll look at that later. I think I get that. Let's see if I can copy that. All right, I'm copying that question right now, and I'll look at it. I don't want to slow all of us down, but Jan, that's a good question. I'll look at it. I think I know what you're saying, but I don't want to not answer. I got some other stuff I want to go through, but I will examine that. And if you go to my channel, and then there's an email address that you can email me, and we will we can chat about that, or you can send me a paste bin if you have a script that you're kind of working on, and I can help you with that. All right, so cool. Where are we? I think we're to the point where we need to. Where was I? Are we gonna do the? Oh yeah, okay. We need to look at how to start looking at making decisions. So we need to, because we were talking about modulo. So we need to now bring in, we're going to make a list, numbers, and it's going to be, all right, we're going to go 1, 5, 2, 4, 6, 10, and I don't think I have 3. So print number in numbers, print number. So what I want to do is we're gonna build. We're gonna start small. Okay. So we got where we can go through our list. So now we need to find out, and we want to print out if each number is odd or even. And I made one little concept, one little passing comment about a tool. So does anybody have any guesses how in the world we could begin to use the tools that we have to find out if a number is odd or even? Or I guess, how would you explain to a 5-year-old what an odd number is and what an even number is? Any comments? Jan, you've been doing awesome and super interactive. Any quick comments how you'd describe to a 5-year-old what an odd or even number is? All right. Best description for the tools that we have is if a number is divisible by 2 with a remainder of 0. All right. So now, if a number can be divided by itself, it's even. Okay. All numbers, wait a minute, hang on. If a number can be divided by itself, it's even. By 2, yes. Absolutely. With a little bit of, but with a little bit of caveat, with a remainder of 0. So we have to have that little, they're all evenly divided. That's where the stickiness of this gets. So now we've learned about how to use an equal sign to link information to a variable. Now we need to learn how to find equivalence. Boom. Okay. Very, very good. If there is a remainder of 0. Awesome. Modulo. It's gonna be like this. If you guys are looking at the comments, that is exactly it. So this is then how you do a condition. So another keyword. Keywords. Words. If. Alphabetical order for me. Where'd it go? There it is. If. All right. Conditional statement. Conditional execution. And the way that we do this is 1 equal to 1. Is 1, the way that I recommend and say, put an is in front of it to help you until you get very comfortable with this. Is 1 equal to 1? 2 equal signs is the equilibrium. 1 equal sign is association, linking, assigning. Association, linking, assigning. 2 equal signs, equivalency test. True. Is 1 equal to 0? False. So now we have inside our for loop, now we're going to have some more indentation. If number, well, here, do we have number still in here? Okay, numbers. All right. So if number modulo 2, so I divide it by 2, equals 0, nether colon, more indentation, then I want you to print out number. We're not going to do anything else right now. So basically all that should happen right now is we should only print out, because this is the only instructions we have. So we have our loop, we have our header loop, now we have our header condition. Now we have our specific, here's our condition. Now, actually, let's hardwire this. All right, so we're going to cheat. I want to really focus on this. This line will only happen, these instructions will only happen if this line is true. All right. So it just printed out everything. I just said make everything true. So right here, I have 1 equals 1, true. 1 equals 0, absolutely not, it's false. Okay, so I hardwired this. I made this true. So every single number printed out. So now we're going to pass in if number modulo 2 equals 0. So now this has to be true for this to happen. All right, so I should only get even numbers to print out, right? Because this will only happen, it will kick down here past here, and then it exhausted the instructions and it'll go back up. So now let's run this. So I only printed out even numbers. So now how about we say, let's change this up a little bit. Is even. All right. And I told you to do this, and here I am getting fancy and giving you bad examples. I'm a bad teacher. All right. 2 is even, 4 is even, 6 is even, so we have the same thing. So now, bingo, else odd. So now we have to, the way that Python works is it goes, hey, I got you an if. So you don't have to do another if, because we're going to talk more about that. I don't know if we'll get to that today. I think we will. We only got 30 minutes. I don't know if we'll get to that today, but you have to have a way to grab the opposite, because let's hardwire this. Let's hardwire this right now as false. False. And I'm going to run this. Nothing happens because all these are false. So nothing happens. It comes up here, gets exhausted. So I back this up. Boom. Now, the way that I did that, I know I just typed a lot. So if you're new here, let's see. Yeah, you're right. Is that better? I should probably be more consistent. So now the way that we can do this is I print number. So if this becomes false, if this is not true, excuse me, if this is not true, don't do this, continue on. All right? Boom. So now I get okay. Now here we go. 1 is odd, 5 is odd, 2 is even, 4 is even, 6 is even, 10, and so on. And soon, I don't know if it's next, we need to then figure out a way. And there's another term. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and I think I do have that next. Oops. See where I am with the notes. All right. Yeah. All right. So now the next one, and we need to figure this out, is a number. So this simple example works because there are two conditions, right? We have a positive, and we have a positive and excuse me, we have an even and an odd. So there's only two scenarios. What happens if we have a even or odd number? What would we do? I need to add one little caveat here. There we go. All right. So kind of just gave it away right there. So I got a set of numbers. Let's go through these numbers. For number in numbers, print number. All right. Do I have even or odd? How am I going to, excuse me, positive or negative? I need to change. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to change that, that, and that. So how many conditions will we have if we have, because right there, even or odd, there's only two. But if we do positive or negative, that's kind of a trick question because there's actually three conditions. So we need to learn about, we can do this one of two ways. So we're gonna do it two ways. So I'm gonna do a nested. All right. So we print out. Oh, did I not save this? Did this not save? There we go. Okay, so we got some negative numbers. We got -5, -4, -10, and we got 0. So that's our little bit of our hint right now. Yep, we got three conditions. So how in the world are we going to handle those three conditions? We could devise this a couple of different ways. So let's just go ahead and get started. If num equals 0, print 0. Wow. 0. And there I am doing that again. Sorry. Now, we need to look at this. Else if statement. All right. Or another one. Shoot. Help. Keywords. And it's very, very handy. Very, very cool. Elif. So, the reason why this was created was if you have a bunch of if conditions. This took me a long time to figure out. Because I was new to programming and I was old. So if it worked, I went on about my day. But then I started realizing that these longer programs, and especially checking these longer lists and these longer containers, this was taking forever because it was running through and checking every single if. So the elif, you utilize elif, so it will only check the first if and then exterminate and go out for 0, for even and odd. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. So if it's 0 and even and odd. All right. So right now, I may have been misspeaking because I was trying to read some comments. So no, all we're going to do right now is if it's positive or negative. And there's a sneaky condition in there is if it's 0. So if it's 0, do that. Elif number greater than 0, print what? Positive. Wow. And then what's the last? The all ender getter. Else, then negative. All right. So let's. I agree. I love this. Actually, I have a couple of subscribers on my channel that are older than I am, and I think that is the coolest thing. I think that is very, very cool. That makes me very happy. And actually a super majority of my subscribers are my viewers. The subscribers, I don't know if I have access to that, but a super majority of my viewers are from overseas, international, and a huge portion of my viewers are. Sometimes it's upwards of 22% are from India. So that, I think that is very cool, and a lot more are women watching now. When I first started, it was you could barely see it. Now it's up to I think I've hit 15% at some weeks. All right, so I digress. So here we go. We got 0, and you could actually do this as nested, where then if it's not, you can come out like that. We'll deal with that later and really sum this up, because you want to have this be as efficient as possible in the workflow. So we're actually going to look at workflow right now, and we're going to look at building. We're going to do the number triangle. Do I have the number triangle being next? What did I have next? We did even, odd. Ooh, actually, here, I want to build this into a function. Let's do this now. That's exactly what I have. So we're going to build and we need to learn about return. So we need to look at return right now. So we're going to type this in, even, then we take in a number, and if x 2 equals 0, we need to look at this, and we need to look at then a compressed way to do this. Return true. So all right, we were kind of looking at how to speed this up. So return creates. So right now I want to show you this, and then we're going to show you a compressed way to do this. Even, then I'm going to pass it this. Now watch what happens. Nothing happened. I'm returning, I'm creating something, but that's just creating it. So I'm not assigning it anywhere. Remember how we did that? If it created it, it assigned it. So now I'm going to print this out. So this is true. Now this is a little bit of extra double work. What's the difference between single quotes and double quotes? Also, I can assign stuff to triple quotes. I'm a curious guy. All right. So, question I asked myself for 35 years. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. So let's plan on dealing with the quotes next week, because that is a way. So triple quotes are typically utilized when you're creating a function. You know how we typed in range like this, and we got some notes here. That's the documentation. So if I come over here, comment this out. Ooh. Oops, sorry guys. Did not mean to do that. All right. So if I comment this out and I run, and if I run even, I get my x, and I pass that in, and it's not going to do anything right now. But then if I give it some information, 1, 2, 3, enter number to be checked if even, and then 1, 2, 3. All right. So I put that in memory, and I call even, if you spell even right, and I get the information. I get the how many variables how many arguments do I take, and then was there any documentation? Docstring right there. That's called a docstring. And I get this right here. Enter number to be checked if even. So that's typically what, and then also three quotation marks are for are for multi-line printing. We're going to deal with all those things with strings. You got your new line, you got your tab, things like that. And then also, if you really think about it, you have contractions in Python, or excuse me, in print in English. And the reason why then you have escape characters. But this is why, so like don't, wow, I am having a heck of a time typing today. I apologize, everybody. So for that to be able to work, that's why I was saying I suggest doing double quotation marks. I haven't taught beginner stuff in a while. I guess it's been a couple months since I started that other stuff, so I apologize. I really want to reinforce using the double quotes, because so if you were to use single quotes, if you get into that habit, so when you do this, you're going to have a nightmare. But if you use double quotes, it goes through. So I don't want to get too far off. I want to do the oh shoot. Let's Let's get this up here. There we go. All right, I want us to do this for a second. So now we create and we got our numbers. So we're going to go through and we're going to check this, right? And this works. But boy, wait a minute. What did we learn? If this returns true. So basically, this is just going to kick out. If I make X, if I make this and I do this and I do this equals this, I'm going to get a Boolean. So I don't need to have this test here. I just need to return this, right? So here, I'll leave this and let's come down here. So def even X return X 2 equals 0. Let's comment that out. Let's run this. Boom. So now, these are the type of things that we need to be constantly thinking about. Can I compress this? Can I make this more fluid? So and that's fine. When you're starting out, get it to work. Get it to work. Learn something more. Make the code better. Make it readable. Make it flow better. Yes, it will get faster. Some people get hung up on faster. Look, I'm old. The tortoise and the hare, it is a lifetime. There are lifetimes of experiences. Get it done. Make it work. So what? Then make it faster. Then make it more efficient. Then you're going to see, you're like, oh my gosh, I can move that. I can move that whole thing up there. I can indent this, that I can get this step, that if I check that at the beginning, this happens more than anything. I'm going to move this to the top. Those are those little bitty things, those little things that just save everything. So any comparison operator returns. Yes, that's what it returns. You get binary. A comparison, it is either true or false. It is either. Now, we have not talked about this. Then there are times, so if I wanted to make an odd one, there's got to be a way to do that, right? And guess what? There is. Return y 2. Let's come over here. So 1 is equal to 1. Is 1 equal to 0? No. Is 1 not equal to 0? If you're anything like me, you're about to have a panic attack because I hate true and false questions. This is about the only problem I really have, that I have to really exclamation point 0. In Python, it's exclamation point 0. Not equal. Not equal. So 1 is not 0. 1 is not equal to 0. True. So if it's not 0, it's anything else. So keep that in mind, because you can build a comparison that you have a little bit of a problem with. But that's how we handle this. So guess what? That's how we're going to handle our odd. We're going to do boom, boom, boom. So that is, but yes, every comparison returns a Boolean. Bingo. That is exactly right. Y modulo 2 not equal to 0. And that's your odd. Print odd 5. Close that out. So we got true and true. So 5 is odd and 4 is even. And guess what? We pass those in and there we go. So all right. Let's see where we are today. All right. So I want to look at a nested loop, because those are very cool, and I think they teach a lot. So let's do this. For I in range 5, print I. And we're also going to learn about how to suppress the new line with print. Okay. So I want, how could I get a square? And I want 4 numbers. I want 4 columns, 5 columns, 5 rows. So I got this 5 times. So let's call this, let's change it to row so we can just be consistent in our temporary variable and we can see it up in our head. For row in, so we gotta change this row. So I have my base. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down 4 times, 5 times, and now I want to go over 4 times. How do I do this? Print column in range 5. Print column. All right, let's see what this does. Oh, whoa, that's not right. Okay, so now now let's look real close and see what print does. It tells us a bunch of stuff, doesn't it? It does. So we got, end, that's a new line. So we need to look at this for a second. We need to go, what does this do? If I print this, that's actually a new line character in Python. Python goes, oh, I know what that is. It's the equivalent of this. I want to show you. Because look right here. So I'm actually telling Python, so this is automatically slapped at the end of every single print whatever. Print a new line. So I didn't pass in anything, got a new line. That's why that works. So now I'm telling Python, throw in a new line, and I know you're going to put a new line at the end of it anyway. All right. So perfect. That is exactly right. So now if I do column end and I change it to a, we need to do this first. We haven't, blank. And that's a lot of typing to get a blank. So that is still a string. It is an empty string. And I know it's an empty string because it has 0 spaces. I didn't press any keys to get anything in between it. And type blank string. So I'm suppressing this right here. Okay. All right. So I really don't need, let's experiment before we get rid of anything, before we get all crazy. Escape sequence, new line tab. It's just the escape sequence, escape characters. That's, let's delve into that because that's how you can also handle your, where were we with our single quotes and our quotes to have when you have a problem and Python's saying, ooh, I know what you're doing. Yeah, we'll get there. So now let's look at this. So what am I doing? Okay, so all right, wait a minute. Okay, I'm getting close. All right. Now do I want a new one here? Is this my flow? Nope, because that's suppressing. I'm on the same indentation. I'm on the same instruction, so I need to back this out. Let's see this so we can see this nice and clean and clear. So I need to back this out one loop. So when I get done with that loop, so I went from an extreme of suppressing, because I want 5 rows of 5 columns. So I went from one line this way to one line this way, and I want it in between. So I want to balance this. Aha. So there we are. I think this is a perfect stopping point. So Bo, there we go. We got 4 minutes left. I don't want to start anything new, but guys, this was super exciting. I loved all of the good interaction. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much for being here, and we're going to be doing this for this foreseeable future on Tuesdays at 10 Eastern time, and we'll be moving forward on mentioned earlier the streams. Okay. I know what you're saying about copying and pasting for errors. If you're a more seasoned, you lose the practice. You lose the chance of making a mistake. When you make a mistake, you learn so much. I learned more from debugging my own programs from the garbage that I used to write. And I've now become a much better typer because I was just typing and typing and typing and typing. And also you get out of, we're running out of time. Let's make next week's broadcast awesome together. Well, I appreciate that. Now, you guys were very cool. I appreciate all the, oh, I don't know who that is. Object oriented. Yes, we will get there. I like to build to that. Okay, you do see it, Jan. Yeah. It's just if you don't have to change anything, because especially I had a young man just working with a month or so ago, and he moved something, but then he was becoming frustrated because the variables changed. We had a different function. So then he started deleting stuff and backspacing, and he lost the opportunity of learning to redo that function. Reinforced learning. When you're typing this stuff over and over and over again, it's reinforced learning. So, and especially you're always going to have to change unless it's completely 100% the same. Okay, copy it. I get that. But very rarely are you going to, but if you're copying the exact same code, it should be a function. That's also how you can know that too. If you have to copy it, you shouldn't need to be copying it anyway, right? All right, does that make sense? Okay, cool. All right, I think we're right at time. Bo, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, but I can't wait to see you guys next week. This was super awesome, super exciting for me. I loved every second of it. So you guys go check out my channel. Let me know what you guys think. So you guys can go and see where we are planning on picking up next week. And we'll just keep going through that content. And we'll be back here. But you guys are awesome. And hope to see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye, Bo.